Hey folks, Levi here once again. Welcome back to another video today. Hope y'all enjoyed my thoughts and such for episodes of Smallville Season 7. And now, continuing with Smallville, talking about that. Oh, I'll be right back, hold on. Sorry, forgot my other phone. Anyway, continuing my Superman marathon by talking about the TV shows. Yeah, you know about Smallville, but I talked about the 7 seasons. So now, for the next Smallville season, I'll be giving my thoughts on my favorite episodes of Smallville Season 8. Yes, the 8th season of Smallville, which began from 2008 and ended in 2009. So. Good. Show a little bit of artwork in the back. That's Davis Bloom, new character in the show, in the season, and Clark. Then the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah. Okay. And I have my favorite and okay episodes of Smallville Season 8 right here. Alright, guys. So anyway, pretty much this season, you do have some new cast members. New series regulars like Cassie Freeman, Sam Wicker, and Justin Hartley. Justin Hartley's been on the show since season 6, but he hasn't been there very much. He's been guest starring basically. But in this season, season 8 here, he becomes a regular character on the show. So Cassie Freeman, she replaces Michael Rosenbaum, John Glover, Antonio O'Toole. Well, John Glover and Kristen Crook have left the show after this season. So, but to give my quick thoughts on season 8, y'all. I enjoyed this season. This was really good. I know some people are mixed on, some people are mixed, have mixed feelings about it, some people hate it. But I enjoyed season 8 of Smallville. Yes, I think it's better than season 7, which is still my least favorite. I definitely think it's better than season 3 and 4. And I put it up there with season 1, 2, 5, and 6, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I really enjoy Smallville Season 8. These other seasons of Smallville, yeah, you don't have Alfred Duff or Miles Teller anymore. I can't say the name right. Yeah. You have some new writers in this, yeah. Alfred Duff and Miles Mills, they left the show after this. Like some of the cast members that left. You have some, yeah, and they do go a bit darker with this season, with Smallville, which is fine. There's still humor in it, but they go a bit darker with it. So they made some changes to it, which I was fine with. This season we get Doomsday, so yeah. And this season is not completely perfect. I do have some issues with it, but so far it was a really good season. So anyway, let's get to it. Sorry. Pretty much Smallville Season 8, what this season is about is that this season focuses on Clark Kent as he starts his job at the Daily Planet, begins to accept more of his destiny as a hero. He kind of becomes this hero known as the Red Blue Blur, using his superpowers to help people and stuff in this season. And he also develops romantic feelings for Lois Lane, and she develops that. This season, you know, Lois and Clark eventually develop romantic feelings for each other. While Lex Luthor is presumed dead after the downfall of the Fortress of Solitude, and Lon Lang has left Smallville for good. Clark also meets his new characters named Davis Blue, who eventually he is the embodiment of Doomsday. Doomsday, if y'all don't know, when I review Superman Doomsday and the death of Superman, you had Doomsday in those movies. Doomsday is a character known for killing the only villain to actually kill Superman. So, as well as the new CEO of Luthor Corp, Tess Mercer, who is, this season, Tess is a woman that is determined to find Lex, you know. In other storylines, Clark and Oliver Queen clash over how to handle Lex when he resurfaces, while Chloe Sullivan and Jimmy Olsen take the relationship to the next level, which is they get married. In addition, this season sees the appearance of more DC comic characters, like including Plastique, you have Livewire, and you also have Parasite in this season, and members of the Legion of Superheroes. Laura Vanderbilt, who was also a Cora, she makes a guest appearance in this season, but she left the show after season 7. She was just written off the show, I guess. You have Kelly Sodas, Brian Peterson, Todd Stillman, and Darren Schummer continue as executive producers and writing for the show. But that's what the season is about. So I'll go ahead and give you my favorite episodes. Like I said, I have a list here. Hopefully you guys can see. The lighting in my room is good. Sorry. Hopefully you can see and hear me, but I don't want to make it too dark in here. If I turn the blinds down, then it'll be really dark in here. So anyway, my favorite episode of Smallville Season 8, here we go. First of all, the first one is the pilot episode of Season 8, and that is Odyssey. Pretty much it takes place after the collapse of the Fortress of Solitude. You have Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Arthur, AC, of Aquaman. You meet Tess, who was talking to Lex's security man who went with him to the Arctic. They find his fingerprint, his footprint that is Lex's, but us also might be Clark's. Until Green Arrow shows up, and then Aquaman shows up, they fight them off a bit, and they're like, Clark, where are you? And Clark, you find out, while they're searching for him, he's being held captive in Russia. He's been there for a while, and pretty much since then, Jor-El took his powers away for the second or third time or whatever. And as Clark is in Russia, he's basically being a slave, being held captive, force him to beating him up a little bit. Clark tries to escape, but they nearly kill him. Oliver shows up, they put on an act and they fight a little bit, which I thought was funny. You have Lois dressed up as a maid, and she's like trying to find some stuff in Luther Court, find out where Clark is, I guess, or what Lex is up to. And she meets Tess, and like I said, Tess is this woman who, loves Lex Luthor, well, as she commits, and basically determined to find him, trying to find out, why is he missing, what happened. And you find out that Chloe is in custody of Luthor, which you think is the DDS, but they're using her. After Brainiac attacked her in season 7, the last season, because of her ability, Brainiac couldn't really kill her, but he did make her smarter. So, she uses these codes to go after the superheroes. Chloe tries to escape. After, Clark decides to help Oliver and the team, they track, as a Green Arrow, so they go track Oliver down. Track and save Chloe, but Clark can't be much of help because of his powers. Him and Clark show up. As of course he's being the Green Arrow, shoots a couple bad guys down, and Clark runs into Lois, and so he sticks out of Lois, till eventually his security guard uses this serum, and it makes you do bad things you don't want to do. It's like a serum that can control you. And when he shoots Oliver with the serum, Green Arrow with the serum, he's like, do whatever it takes to find out what happened to Lex Luthor. And Oliver, since he knows that Clark knows he has Clark, and Clark, answered me Clark, and Clark, having his powers and just being normal, Green Arrow's like, wrong answer. He shoots him right beside his head. I was like, next one goes in your heart, Clark. Tell me. And when he gets out of his mind, Chloe and Oliver Clark, and Clark dies, but John Jones, Martian Manhunter, is there, and he grabs Clark using his superpowers, takes him up there to the sun. Clark, after passing, you get your powers back, but he told him that John Jones tells him that I have not my powers anymore. Instead, he decides to go be a cop. Clark decides to eventually take the job at the Daily Planet. Since, holding on to things in Smallville, that he just needs to make a change in his life. And, like the end of the episode where he's just sitting there, click, 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 click with the chair. And I was like, somebody in my Smallville? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a brand new worker. I was like, you're going to start in the copy room? I was like, no, I'll be a little close to him. She sees that Clark has his name on there. and this is when he starts his job at the Daily Planet as his future begins. But Odyssey was a really good episode, in my opinion. Definitely one of the best. And I like Tess Mercer and Sam Whitaker. Well, we don't see Davis Bloom to the next episode, so anyway, good episode in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine is Plastique. Clark comes on his first day, and Lois is like, "Why are you dressed like that? You got to dress more of a proper Clark, like a tie and suit. You like a can't dress in here like a fancy Kansas farm boy." They have this little banter going on, and Clark's starting off though. There's this bomb that hits this town. Well, not this town, but this bus. You have a bunch of injured passengers. Chloe eventually is helping one of the passengers. It's the girl named Jessica Parker Kennedy. That girl would actually go on to be in The Flash, I believe, the 2014 Flash TV series as Nora. And here she's alright. She's a lot worse than The Flash, in my opinion, but she's alright. But this explosion happens on this bus, and you meet Davis Bloom, who's an EMT medical driver, and he meets Chloe. Him and Chloe kind of, help this girl out, and he talks with Chloe a little more in the episode, helps her fix the light, and she has a little bit of attraction to him, but Davis right away has like infatuation with Chloe, even though she's still intently in a relationship, and she even lets him know that, because he sees a wedding ring, that she's going to get married to the Hun Jim and of course, are engaged. Yeah. Clark investigates this a little bit, him and Lois. Lois tries to teach him the tricks of the trade. She gives him a lesson, about being a reporter. Always know your source. Always do this and that. Clark even, writes the rules down, makes a picture frame out of it. And as more investigating, I think it's this girl named Bet tells Clark that, it was this boy she knew, and so she used her power to kill this boy. But you find out she's the one that has these power to control fire out of her eyes. And she tries to kill Chloe, but Clark shows up. She's like, "I'm afraid. Can you help me? You're not scared of me." Chloe's like, "No, I'm not scared of you. We can get you help." They try to get help, but she ends up in Belle Reve. So Tess comes to her, offering her, basically she's kind of having a little squad of her team members or people like her, and then she'll give her a better life, But Tess also meets Clark in this episode, and she starts talking about Lex, what happened to Lex. She's like, "I don't know," and then Tess is like, he's lying. He's like, her security's like, "You want me to watch him?" He's like, "No, I'll handle this one." I think at the end of the episode, Chloe tries to call Davis, but Davis is like outside near the gutter, near the dumpster, naked, just laying down, and he just, does this. Yeah. We'll get more into that as I talk more about it. But anyway, good episode in my opinion. The actress who played it, she's alright. Like I said, Jessica Parker, I'm not a fan of her. It's just me. She's alright in here, but I think she's just worse than The Flash. And the next episode is called Toxic. That's my favorite. Oliver and Chloe are at this disco party. Oliver shows up drunk. Well, actually, he tells Chloe that he's been poisoned. And I like this episode because you go more into his past. You see Oliver trapped on this island. This is how after his parents died, he was more of a party boy, getting drunk and sleeping with women and stuff. He was just very reckless until going on a party with his friends. A shipwreck happens, and you see him on this island. He's there for about, I think, 2 years at least. But it's just flashbacks until Lois shows up to help out, and he's passed out. He's in the Isis Foundation. Chloe calls Davis to come. Davis telling him that we need to get him to safety. He's going to die. He's like, if Oliver said no hospitals, no hospitals. And you find out that he actually knows Tess Mercer as well. But Oliver, you see him training himself to do bow and arrow a couple times, to eventually he becomes an expert at it. And I think he's been trapped on what island, like about 2 or 4 years on this island, 5 years on that. And basically, he touches his flower that is poison and passes him out. he's captured by these people, and Tess Mercer's there to help him out. She reveals to Oliver that she was a marine biologist, and that these people captured her. They've been captured for a couple of hours or whatever, something like that. And they're planning to, especially have Oliver, since he's a millionaire, basically keep him for captive. They shoot Tess's friend. You see that Tess, that she somewhat was, before she became this cruel woman that she becomes, I won't say she's cruel. She does have a bit of a Luther in her, but at first she's a woman that let men control her, and she doesn't want that anymore. Won't let men control her, but her and Oliver are eventually able to get off this island. And Oliver realizes that Tess is going to get poisoned too, so it's the same guy who kept him captured. And I like the scene though where Tess fights with him a little bit. He almost kills Tess until Clark shows up, knocks him down. He's able to use his heat vision to knock this electrical on the guy. Didn't kill him, just passes him out. The guy ends up in jail. He gets bailed out, and Tess, who wanted revenge, basically cuts him with a flower and poisons the guy. She's like, now you know how it feels. But Clark is able to manage to get an antidote for Oliver, and they, Davis, shots into his heart, and he's back to life. But what I thought was interesting about this episode, the reason I liked it a lot, is because of seeing Oliver's past and seeing how he was before, seeing him share with on, how he learned how to use a bow, and eventually how he became Green Arrow. And the man's name was Marcos, who held him captive in the island. So anyway, it was a very interesting episode in my opinion. So Toxic was good. But all after partying, him and Clark talk, and I forgot to mention an episode where, when he realizes that Lionel had his parents killed, Clark says, I didn't tell you because I want you to do something stupid, Oliver, and I want you to do something you will regret, He's like, what do you think I was going to do, Clark? Kill him? And after this, he just kind of gets drunk for a while. But anyway, Toxic was a good episode in my opinion. Very interesting to watch. Alright. And then another favorite episode of mine is called Committed. The beginning is where Jimmy and Chloe are having kind of their bachelor parties, kind of having their wedding reception, I guess you can call it. When they're having this party and Lois is drunk, tries to make an announcement, but Chloe's like, okay, calm down, Lois, takes her home, doesn't, she sleeps on his couch, they don't do nothing, but you find out that Jimmy and Chloe get kidnapped, and this guy who tortures couples, basically he shoots them with darts, and hits them up to the lie detector test, and it'll give you a really bad shock. And they asked Jimmy, did you ever cheat on his wife? He was like, no. And then, shocks Chloe. He's like, well, your lies are going to hurt her, Jimmy. I was like, yeah, I kissed a woman, but it meant nothing. And Chloe's worried that she might have to reveal the truth about Clark. But eventually they get lucky. The guy sends them back. Jimmy and Lois and Clark decide to go undercover, so they pretend to be a wedding couple, which I thought was funny when they're pretending to be married. Being engaged. And Oliver, I thought it was just hilarious when Oliver walks in this wedding store because I think he's getting something for Tess Mercer or whatever. And he's like, Clark? Lois? You're engaged? You're like, for real? And he's shot by you. But anyway, Lois gets kidnapped. Clark eventually shows up to try to save her, but the guy has kryptonite and it weakens Clark. And this is where eventually Lois admits her real feelings. Where she said, he goes like, do you love this man? Do you love Clark Kent? And she's like, yes. But she says she tells Clark, eventually Clark is able to get through the kryptonite, and someone able to break it and get out and knock the guy out. But Lois tells him at the end, well, it's a good thing I'm just a good liar then. Lois says that it was like she chip her finger over, but you can actually tell that it really is the truth though. And I know people complain, I'll get to this complaint later. But anyway, Committed was a really good episode. Eventually, this will happen for Lois and Clark eventually. But Committed real good in my opinion. Alright, another favorite of mine is called Prey. Episode called Prey. This is where a serial killer attacks a local called Clark is, like I said, embracing more of his destiny. He's got like a police cannon, he's listening to crimes, he's just, uses powers to super speed and save people, save some people from getting hurt, saves this little kid from getting beaten up by these gang members, and the kid does this, then he sees he's like this. Which I thought was funny. It was corny, but it was funny. And then this explosion happened, Clark, kind of just was able to use his ability to jump up there. Because I think in the comics, Superman, before he started to fly, he would jump first. But anyway, when he jumps up there, you see Davis there, and Davis has blood all over him. And Davis thinks something might have happened. He's like, Chloe, I might have been the killer. It might have been me that done this. And she's like, you're not a killer. And she kind of hugs, covered him, just as a friend. And John Jones tells Clark, you need to be careful what you're doing. You don't wear a mask. Somebody will eventually take a picture of you or see you, Clark. You've got to be careful. He missed Jimmy, which I think it was a bit of a funny scene. But, John tells him, if you're going to be the Red Bluebird, you've got to be careful, Clark, because someone can see your face. He's like, I'm fast enough to get, you need to be careful because somebody can snap a picture of you or something, see your face. Chloe also has these kids who, one of his name is Randy, who you find out is he's like a shadow, basically, and he's the one starting to kill some people, but the one that at party was actually Davis. Yeah. But Davis just can't remember. He basically calls it blackouts. He doesn't remember them. He says he's been having them since he was a kid, but he doesn't really remember anything. But anyway, Clark is able to take out his kid. He's able to use his ability to throw a tire right at him and knock him out. And the kid's proud of it and all that stuff until Tess comes to see him and invites him to join her group. But overall, it probably was a really good episode. Very interesting to watch. I think this is where you see more of Davis's blackout. And basically, he is the monster Doomsday, but you find out a little later in the season. So, overall, it was good. Oh, and also in this episode, when he tells to Chloe, he says, Chloe, there's something a little more there. And Chloe tells Davis, I can't see you for a while. Because she doesn't want nothing to happen between them. Although she can say she does find him attractive, but she still is committed to Jimmy. So, yeah. Another friend of mine is called Identity. This is where the episode starts with Lawrence and Jimmy kind of talk about after doing an assignment or whatever. They're on the street. They get mugged. Lois is able to fight this guy, but this guy pushes her. Clark as a Red Blur comes and saves Lois from getting saved. And Jimmy's able to snap a picture of Clark. Eventually, at the episode, he's telling him, I'm going to go for it, and he gets this picture. He shows it to Tess, and Tess wants to burn it. Even though Clark wants to talk to Tess, who was his boss as well, who is, I mentioned, she's in charge of all Luther Corp's access, including Luther Corp itself, CEO of the Daily Planet, and all the project areas and all that. She's in charge of, Sorry. And you also have this new reporter named Sebastian Kane, who has really kind of read people. Lois goes on a date with this guy. And Clark, zips up her dress. Funny to mention that, though, because when the guy is able to go through Lois's memories, you can see that when Clark zipped up her dress, that she had, a smile, and she was blushing when he did that. So, but he also finds out that Lois knows who he is. So he decides to try to kill Lois. When Clark finds out, he's able to attack the guy off. Sebastian is eventually able to find out Clark's secret because when he shook Clark's hand, he's able to find that secret. And Chloe kills the guy. She just outright uses her ability and murders him. Although she tells Clark she's got this ability in control, she's murdered Sebastian King just to protect Clark. Even though that was pretty dark for Chloe to do. But Jimmy also investigates a bit more, and then when he sees a picture of Clark wearing a blue shirt and a red jacket, he's like, ZK, this is you. He's like, Jimmy's not, he keeps lying to him. He's like, Jim, ZK, I won't tell anybody. You can trust me. And Jimmy is upset by this because they won't tell him. But Clark tells him for his own protection. There's a reason he don't tell him. He hates lying to his friends, to people people that he cares about. But he does it for their own best. Yeah. And eventually, Oliver, who's been partying for a while, Clark is able to get his help. He's got like this kind of, black little mask on and this black cape, and he's able to save the guy, and that makes him feel like a hero again. And him and Clark talk about it, and he tells Clark, hey, Oliver tells Clark, that was great, man. I want to just do this again. I'm back into it. Let's cancel my trip. Green Arrow, that's who I am. That's who I am, basically, is what he says. But Identity was a real good episode, in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is called Bloodlines. Yeah. Bloodline. Clark gets his crystal that was, since the Force was tore down at the end of season 7. He touches it though, and it sends him and to the fans. Actually, with Lois, because Lois grabs Clark, touch it, put it down. She's like, Clark, we're gonna die. And he's like, Clark's like, come on, Clark doesn't have his powers, so he can't do nothing anyways. This is where Kara comes back, and Kara, who has been trapped there, if you remember, in season 7, Brainiac put her in the Phantom Zone, and she thought they were zones, so she chose to attack them. And she's like, hello, it's good to see you. And they have to lie to her, saying that it's like a prison they're trapped in, they gotta get out of here. And Lois refuses to go without Clark, but he wants to send Carl over there, and Carl almost gets knocked down, almost gets killed, but Clark is like, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm never gonna leave you. I'm never gonna leave you, Cora. And she comes back from the Phantom Zone as well, with her powers back. At the end of the episode, though, Cora tells Clark, some people are not living in a place called Pandora. Your destiny is there. It's here, Clark. Mine's somewhere else. So she flies away at the end. It was good to see Lord Vanderbilt back as Cora. I think she would eventually be turned out in season 10, I believe. But when Lois is eventually with the help of Cora, his wife Vera comes out. She possesses Lois's body, and when she finds Davis, because Davis is trying to look into his past a bit. He went from foster home to foster home when he was a kid, and when Vera comes to him, telling him that you help these people, you are the destroyer. You're the ultimate destroyer. You were supposed to destroy the Traveler and kill everyone on Earth. That's your destiny. And basically, what she does is got a piece of this hospital bed, like this pallet or something. I don't know what you call it, but she basically stabs him. And she's like, "What doesn't kill you? So makes you stronger," and it does. It just makes him more stronger, and he comes back to life. Davis does. Davis eventually tests his theory out by taking his shirt off and grabbing the knife and tries to stab himself, and the knife breaks, it shatters. But Vera inside, they created created Doomsday, and basically when he came to the planet, any planet he comes to, he inhabits basically he inhabits a human of any planet that Doomsday goes on. He can have it go under disguise. So basically he is Doomsday, he's just disguised as a human. Yeah, but Vera, Clark, and her are able to fight. Clark does help him out by using the crystal to get the possession out. Vera and send her back to the Phantom Zone. But overall, Bloodline was a really good episode in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine is an episode called Abyss. This is where Chloe's memories begin. Even though she has this power, she's like super smart now. But even though Clark is worried about her, what Brainiac did could affect her, she starts losing her memories in this episode. She's like in bed with Jimmy. They're talking. She's like, she loses them. She's like, should we get who Jimmy is? And he has trouble with these pictures. Eventually, she will forget Clark in time too. She's just shocked what's happening to her. You see in his memory where her and Clark were kids, that she shows him the born. She gives Clark a kiss. Basically gives Clark a kiss like, well, I don't even think about it, so I figured, let's just be friends and get that out of the way. Until she loses this memory, she has to save Clark, and then she goes to the Dark Thursday, which was at the end of season 5. And she eventually, like, Clark, no! And in this memory, she sees Davis in the memory. It's like she has a somewhat connection to him. And Clark decides to talk to Jor-El, says that he has to make this hard decision of making Chloe forget his secret for her safety. Clark rebuilds the Fortress of Solitude, and Jor-El restores her memories. But toward the end of the episode, Brainiac eventually takes over, comes back and takes over the Fortress of Solitude, basically to prepare for Doomsday. And of course, Chloe decides to continue it, but yeah, at the end of the episode, Davis comes and says that his true feelings of Chloe, that she's married the wrong man, that he's in love with her, and he does kiss Chloe, but Chloe's like, no, stop. He's like, well, if you think about it, you can always call me. But he tell her that, he's in love with her. But, she's like, I'm marrying Jimmy, though. But overall, good episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is called Bride. This is where you see in the beginning where Jimmy and Chloe are getting married, and you see it's like a video being videotaped, and all of a sudden it's all happy stuff, and them getting married until this monster comes and attacks, Doomsday. And this is also another favorite of mine because this is where Clark and Lois, their feelings for each other start to surface, basically. Where Jimmy tries to talk to him about dating, gives her the suit for Clark, she kind of just looks at the suit just like this, and this guy Victor's like, you better get that video back, I'm gonna punch him. He punches the camera guy. And her and Clark, let's Clark got his suit on, she's got her dress on, they're looking at each other as they're very attracted to each other. And Clark reads these vows, and Jimmy's vows, but Lois thinks he's talking to her, and she looks very smiley about it. And also, this is where Lana Lang comes back, because Oliver wants to get revenge on Lex because of his parents' murder, and basically because he just hates Lex. He almost is ready to kill Lex until he ends up finding Lana there. Lana tells him, what are you doing here? She's like, have you been? She's like, I just been on the run for a while. I just had to leave Smallville. I had to leave that life behind. She does come to the wedding though. But the only thing, I can see how people have an issue with this, so I do too. Clark and Lois and Clark decide to have a dance, and they're basically giving each other this look and Clark and Lois come very close to kissing, but Lana walks in, and then Clark is looking at her, and I'm like, I was disappointed with that. People complain, oh, he shouldn't have fell in love with Lois Lane, and first of all, Lois Lane and Superman did get married in the comics. I never read the comic, but I believe in the comic Superman and Lois got married. Lois Lane is Superman's main love interest. It's in the comics. And people complain, I've heard people complain on Facebook, saying, oh my gosh, she was his second choice. I'm like, no. Actually, Lois was the first choice. But I can see why Clark was in love with Lana. I did want to see Lois Clark in love, but I get it. The writers just want to take time with it. Because Clark is not officially, he's not over Lana. Yeah, he never really gave her first love, I guess that's what they say. But he's still in love with Lana. Lana was his first love. So But yeah, I was disappointed, that they didn't share that kiss. I'm like, really, writers? You gotta tease me like that, Davis has been disposing of bodies, apparently. He tries to tell Chloe about it. He's got blood all over him, because he's been doing these killings, I think as Doomsday, basically. And the security is going to arrest him, and he's like, go away, and his eyes will turn red. Yeah. Basically, Davis's eyes will turn red right here, and he turns into Doomsday and kills the guy. Eventually he goes to Chloe's wedding, attacks Jimmy. Clark tries to punch Doomsday, tries to attack Doomsday, but Doomsday's a little knock Clark down like a pinball machine. Throws him like he's nothing. Clark, the green kryptonite eventually gets on Clark, and he's weakened. And then, Doomsday walks up to Chloe, and says, Chloe, and kidnaps Chloe. And at the end of the episode, Doomsday takes Chloe to the Force of Solitude to be laid down, where Brainiac eventually takes over her body. Jimmy's in the hospital. Lois asks Clark, why does all these bad things happen? Why? So she's going to go to an ICU. I think it's like another state she's going to go to for a while just to help out. Lana and Clark decide to do something about the situation. They do talk a little bit, about she left for a good reason. She tells Clark, just maybe Lana and Clark Kent were just never meant to be together. But overall, it was good. So it was good to see Lana back. Her hair is more cut up, and she's more of a badass to take care of herself. I mean, Lana, she saves Clark. She gets injured, and her leg's like bloody, but she walks all the way to that barn and saves Clark. I'm like, wow, okay. And she nearly kicked all of his ass. So I'm like, wow. Lana becomes a badass in the season, but I always knew, since season 2, she had that badass in her, But overall, Bride was a really good episode, because, this is where you see that Lois and Clark do have feelings for each other, but eventually it'll get more into the seasons, so, but it was good to see Kristen Crook come back in here. Lois, she really leaves though because she's heartbroken over Clark, choosing Lana. That's why she just leaves him over, just to get away from the drum. But overall, Pride was a really good episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine episode called Bulletproof. Yeah. We're in 37. Okay. And this is where John Jones, Martian Manhunter, who is now human, he's just a detective now, he's a cop. And he's chasing up some bad guys, takes them down, until he gets shot by a sniper. He doesn't wear his vest, because I guess he just forgot that he's just practically normal now, human. Gets shot down and sent to the hospital. Clark decides to go undercover, thinking that it might be some dirty cops. Chloe's able to send him up, he goes undercover with this cop. Works with this one guy. We found out he has a family. They talk about Brothers in Blue, and Clark ends up finding out, as he's undercover, that these cops are taking laws into their own hands. They're beating up criminals, and basically it's illegal what they're doing. And this officer that Clark is partnered with, he's trying to talk to him and saying that this isn't right. Taking to the law in hands, which cops should not do that. But Green Arrow stops him from killing this guy. Shows up. Because he shoots him with these little green doors, and like electrocutes him, knocks him out. Doesn't kill him, just knocks him out. But overall, and then Clark eventually, before they, I think they used kryptonite on Clark. I don't remember, but I do remember the guy eventually, they try to get him to kill Green Arrow. He's going to shoot Green Arrow, and then Green Arrow talks him down out of it, and then the cop decides to turn on him and shoot his own brother in blue. But before he can do anything, Clark shows up and knocks the guy out. He tries to shoot Clark. He just tries to shoot him point blank right close, and the bullet hits him in the finger. Clark knocks him out. Like you said, always wear the bulletproof vest. Oh, wait a minute, Dan Turpin. Oh, young Dan Turpin. Okay, I remember that guy in Superman the Animated Series. Yeah. a cop who would, I think in the comics, and I remember the animated series, was a cop that didn't like Superman, but would eventually, kind of like, he was like Commissioner Gordon to his Batman, to basically, anyway, would become. He does get in trouble a bit, but he's still able to be a cop, and he learns from his mistakes. Well, it was a good episode in my opinion, Bulletproof. You know that cops shouldn't be taking the laws in their own hands, that officers, it's not their choice to decide who lives and who dies, basically. Bulletproof was a good episode in my opinion. It was cool to see Clark going undercover as a cop and all that, and just, make an interesting episode of the series. Just do something different, I thought that was cool. And then another favorite of mine is an episode called Power. Clark thinks that Lana has been kidnapped, but Tess is eventually able to tell Clark the truth that that videotape she made for him, she was actually kidnapped by Alexa's men, and they forced her to do this video, that she did, and she's kidnapped by these people. You find out how she became. Basically, while Alexa's men, they try to help, because she's like, I'm sick, can you throw, I'm about to stop, can you pull over? Lana's able to take the guy out, she shoots the guy down, makes this guy go, and Lana decides to go on the run. She cuts her hair off, she wants to become stronger. You find out the security guard who Clark talks to, is able to tell him that he was the guy in the military who trained military personnel to how to handle pain. Basically, Lana says, I don't want to be in pain no more. So what he does is train Lana, like, Lana to burn her hands. He puts Lana underwater, cold water, and she gets trained to become a badass, And she basically decides to get this suit, which Lex was going to use this suit. Lex is still alive, he's just very injured, but Lana is able to take the suit away from him, giving her powers like Clark. I think in this episode, Tess also comes up against Lex's security man, who she held responsible for Lex's disappearance. And he tries to kill Tess, I forget what for some reason, but Tess and him fight, and Tess just, after knocking the guy down, doesn't stop there, she like, kicks the guy down with that blood on her face, But overall, you find out she was lying to Clark the whole time, that her security men were just making it look fake, even though Clark does not trust her anyway. But it was interesting to see how she became the way she did. When she gets these powers, she tells him it feels good, and at the end of the episode, her and Clark share a kiss on the Tupper Daddy planet. They have become a couple again, a power couple. She tells Clark, you don't have to worry about me, since I have these ability now, I'll work together, we can, be a team, I can help you out now. And Lana decides for her future that she wants to be a superhero as well, which is cool. But overall, Power was a really good episode. It was interesting to see what happened to Lana, after season 7. Overall, Power was a good episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is called Requiem. Requiem. When Oliver is announced into Luther Corp. Well, I forgot to mention, I think it was in this episode, or I think it was Bulletproof. Yeah, well, anyway, Lana informs Tess, her and Tess have a bit of a fight, until she shows her that there's a transmitter into her nerve, into her brain, where Lex has been watching her, and Tess decides to get revenge on Lex, and, sees him with his cameras like, I did everything for you, Lex. I loved you, you son of a bitch, And basically what she does is consider Lex dead. You have in the newspaper article with like this picture in the front saying Lex Luthor dead. She basically takes away his bank accounts, get rid of all that, takes Luthor Corp away from him, and basically, gets Oliver to them to bet against each other. Oliver and Tess do sleep together. They do this, and he wants a relationship. Oliver, first wants a relationship with Tess. Tess is like, Oliver, I don't want a relationship with you. I just had an itch, and you just scratched it, and that's it. I don't want nothing to do with you. But eventually they're able to, Oliver goes to the local court board as they have like pictures of Lionel and Lex saying what they're going to do with the company, and Tess Burks, who's in charge of the company, says that you have Quinn and Shirley just leave the court board together and stuff. And as Oliver comes to announce it, there's this toy in the room. Eventually it blows up. And you find in this episode there's a man named Winslow Scott, aka in the comic book is Toy Man, who is a guy that loves toys, but he's like makes toys out of bombs. Yeah, he's just really crazy to be honest. Yeah, he is one of Superman's enemies in the comics. One of Superman's foes. And eventually you find out that Winslow shot 6 years ago that Oliver says that he worked for him. He doesn't know. He tells this to Chloe, but not Lana and Clark, who decided to help find out what happened in this bomb. There's this kryptonite. Lana touches the kryptonite. She absorbs it in her fingers. She absorbs the kryptonite. She doesn't realize that yet until later on. But Oliver tells him that the doctor, tells Chloe about the past with Winslow Scott, that he was just crazy. The guy brought toys to work. He was just out of his mind. He had to fire him. But you find out that Toy Man is working with Lex. Lex is keeping an eye on him. He's like, we'll take everything, Mr. Luthor. And Lex is just injured, sitting in a wheelchair, and got this kind of this mask on, just watching. It's not Michael Rosenbaum at all. It's just a different actor and someone voicing him as well. Lex has Scott create this kryptonite bomb, which can destroy all of Metropolis. Lex is talking to him in this, Deidre was like, Clark, Long Lane, Clark Kent, Long Lane. Haven't seen you two in a while. It's like, now Clark, this bomb will go off, and you can't touch it at all. You have two choices. You can let it blow up and let people down, walk away now, or if Lana absorbs this energy, if she absorbs kryptonite, she'll absorb so much of it. Basically, the suit was built as a weapon, so Lex can have the kryptonite, because the target was Clark. That was his target. But Lana has to make the sacrifice because they don't want people to die. Of course, them being who they are, heroes, they have to make this hard decision. And Lana tests the kryptonite bomb. She tests both sides, and she absorbs all the kryptonite. And Clark has to go up to Lana, but he can't. He gets weakened, and he's like, Lex. And Clark is going to go run, but Lana stops him because he's about to go kill Clark. You're going to regret this, Clark. If you kill him, if you do this, you lose yourself. But Winslow's shot, by the way, Toy Man comes to visit. Is going to try to, have a bomb in there and kill Oliver's able to outsmart him, and so it ties him up. Chloe shows up and says like, wait a minute, you're Winslow Scott, and Scott, says all the balloons, which is this knockout gas, and he's able to escape out of the hospital. And this little monkey toy that Oliver stole, which is a bomb, puts it in the truck, and basically Oliver killed Lex Luthor. And he tells Chloe about it. Chloe's like, this is not justice. This isn't good. He's like, come on, Chloe. Clark can't do it. It has to be done. Lex was a monster. We had to get rid of him. And at the end, though, when Lana absorbs kryptonite, she says leave Smallville again. And she's like, I love you, Clark, but it's not going to work anymore. He tries to kiss her, but the kryptonite weakens him so much that she cries and leaves, and he was just very sad. That was always, in my opinion, heartbroken to watch, but like I said, Clark and Lana were not meant to be together. Their relationship just did never really work anyways. So I think it was for the best. It was the last time you see Christian Kroger in the show, and I definitely miss her presence. In season 11, Lana would go on to be in another country. She would become her own superhero. Eventually, though, she moved on from Clark, but the kryptonite that is still in her, I think, gets absorbed from Metallo, who we will see in season 9. Anyway, but that was a good episode in my opinion. Alright, another favorite of mine is called Infamous. This is where you have Tori Spelling coming back as Linda Lake when Lois returns to Smallville. She's not happy to see Clark because he's not picking her up. She kind of complains and whines at him. And Linda Lake comes in saying, I'm going to get your secret. I'm going to expose your secret. You either work for me, or I'm going to expose you, and before she can disappear, when Clark shows her, but she disappears, Clark decides to eventually tell his secret, or talk from Chloe, tell Lois his secret. So she's like, the barn door, all this time you escaped, it's because of your abilities? And he's like, you're a meteor infected, no, I'm from another planet. And Clark becomes pretty much famous. People are loving him and saying hi to him, and some girls like, Clark, catch. He's like, you shouldn't do that, that's not safe. But Clark, meanwhile, the government thinks they can't trust him. Linda Lake is able to turn the tables and basically goes to the news reports and says that Clark Kent is a threat, that he murdered Lex Luthor, that he killed Lex Luthor. Even though that didn't happen, but that makes him she makes it publicly enemy number one. Government comes to visit him, talk to him about it. They're going to shoot Clark, but it doesn't work, so Clark has to run away. He's like, this is I should never be my secret. That the government also tries to talk to Lois. Lois tries to run away from him. Clark is able to save her, and he gets the Legion of the Ring that he got in an early episode. This is to go back in time, to change it, to stop Linda Lake. Before he can do a Linda Lake, it shows up with kryptonite, weakens Clark. Her and Lois fight a bit. Lois is eventually able to take her out. Her kryptonite is electricity. But anyway, Lois is able to knock her out. Clark eventually is able to, and then Davis, who finds out that Clark is from Krypton as well, like him, tells Chloe that he is Doomsday the monster. He's like, Chloe, go away, and he turns into the monster. Doomsday party and kills her, but and Lois is about to say, Clark, Davis Bloom, and before she can say it though, he puts the ring on, going back 2 days earlier. And he stops on the lake. He eventually, Clark is able to give her a shock, use her weakness against her. And he does pick up Lois, that she was angry at him before, but it does become a little better between them. And Linda Lake at the end, she tries to bring out Doomsday because she wants to escape. He's like, become what you really are, the monster. He's like, no. Instead, before he becomes the monster, he grabs this pillow and, not Jimmy, Davis murders Linda Lake. And when Davis realizes that, hey, if I start murdering people, so after this he starts being a serial killer, starts killing people just to keep the monster in. But overall, Infamous was a good episode in my opinion. Clark Kent, he could reveal his identity to the world as an alien, but people are not ready for it yet. And it's never going to do it because, he might get fame out of it, but the world could possibly think of him as a threat and turn on him. So the episode definitely proved that. But overall, Infamous was really good in my opinion. Tori Spelling, she was alright. Not a fan of the actress. Again, didn't really care for her, but that's just me. Alright, and another favorite of mine is called Turbulence. Clark starts wearing his blue shirt and his red jacket, doubling his identity. Tess invites him over to the plane. They decide to go to LA for some business. Her and Clark talk a little bit. But she wants to see if Clark has these abilities, if he is the not the chosen one, the traveler. She tells Clark about her past, about her father, what he did to her. He's like, your camp farm was nice, but I didn't get that. Unlike Lex, though, you can trust me. And there are no parachutes, so Clark is able to get her to, breathe in this breather or whatever, like they have on a plane when it comes down, or whatever. Clark is able to jump out of there. Eventually he's able to make a laugh about it. Eventually Jimmy, who was being dramatized, he's in the hospital. He's very traumatized by what happened, the attack on the wedding and the bride episode. He, sees like this man running, and he sees Davis kill this man. And he tries to tell, he tries to tell people about it, but they don't believe him. They think he's nuts. Jimmy starts having these little hallucinations because he, uses the serum on Jimmy. Because when Jimmy talks to him first, he kills. Davis murders these people who he thinks that deserves to die, like this truck driver who killed the mother and her daughter by accident, and so he basically murders him. And Jimmy's like, you just kill him? And when he starts hallucinating, he starts seeing Chloe's in the hallucination. She's being attacked by Doomsday, and he tries to attack Davis, and they knock him down. Yeah. But Jimmy, who's able to be released now, basically just yells at Chloe's like, you don't believe me? You think I'm lying? You trust Clark and then you trust Davis? You know, and Holmes like, Chloe, marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. I'm done with you, Chloe. I'm done. And then he just walks away and drives away at the end. Just depressed to go get a job. He goes to get a job as a bartender. But it was an interesting episode to see Jimmy hallucinating. Jimmy is the only one that actually says that Davis is a killer. But the thing is, nobody believes him. Thinks that he's just gone crazy. But of course, Davis is the killer. During the episode, though, Jimmy tries to bring that out by knocking him out. And before Davis can turn to Doomsday, though, Chloe shows up and says, Davis is okay, and Davis, before he can turn to monsters, realizes that keeping the monster at bay is a killing, but also Chloe. His feelings for Chloe is what keeps the monster at bay. His fixation, obsession with her is what keeps the monster at bay. So our Doomsday was a good episode. Our Turbulence was a good episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is Eternal. This is where you realize that Tess does some information. Of course, there's this field where Clark's ship landed. But anyway, on this field, Davis has been murdering many people. He's been burying them there. Tess tries to blow him up, but it doesn't work. And even though it does kill him, but what doesn't kill you make you stronger, basically for him. And Tess informs him that, about reading this book about the traveler coming to the earth, and that he was like in a cocoon on the side of the ship. And when the cocoon broke, when the green slowed down, it created Davis into the form of a human. And these men chase after him, and eventually he's in a few days, like for 5 days, he's in the Luthor mansion. Eventually he knew Lex Luthor, as a kid, when Lex was a little kid, before he became the evil man he became. Him and Lex are playing with like Lou's toy stores or whatever. He uses the screen rock and it's like, oh, that hurts him. But when Lyle realizes that he is a call from Martha Kent, about adopting Clark Kent, adopting Clark Kent, and he realizes that he's not the trouble, so Lionel they basically just throw him out on the street. They throw Davis, so she's like, well, what about me, Lionel? He cries, and eventually Davis, the young boy Davis, turns to the monster for the first time and kills these men. Tessa works out that she knows who he is, and is like, well, why do you think he had you adopted? Because you were the traveler, because he wanted you for himself. Davis decides that he, to go in this kryptonite cage, and before he becomes the red monster, even though Clark doesn't want to kill him, they turn it on, and basically you see him die, but eventually he comes back to life. So Chloe decides that he can stay with her, but she only does it so she keep the monster at bay to protect Clark. And her presence is what keeps humans at bay. And you find out the idea for Clark's power, this orb, the orb that was in season 7 that Lex had to destroy, the Force of Solitude, Tess has it. But overall, Eternal was a good episode in my opinion. That Davis should find out that he can't die. Because being Doomsday, he can't die, he's basically immortal. Yeah, the kryptonite did kill him, it just made him stronger though. But overall, he stays in the basement of the Talon. But Chloe reveals just doing it because she's protecting Clark. And then the favorite of mine, an episode called Beast. In the episode, Clark eventually begins to realize that Davis is alive. Even though they both saw him die, he's like, Chloe, you don't know what you're doing. And when the police send him out from Clark, this episode he tries to you see an episode where Davis and Chloe are about to, hook up, but actually it's a dream because Davis says, I had to do it. She opens this room, she sees like the half-dead body of Clark smashed into pieces nearly, even though she's doing this to protect Clark. And the other episode, Davis eventually kidnaps Jimmy, and Oliver nearly gouges Jimmy's eyes out because he is the monster in him. But eventually Clark is able to get him to the Force of Solitude. His idea is to send him to the Phantom Zone. They both have a bit of a fight. They're too strong to handle each other, so Chloe stops to go, and they decide her and David started going on a run together. Clark decided he could have helped Davis, but Clark decides no because he's done too much damage, he's killed too many people, he's just got to be stopped. Clark, Chloe calls Clark, doesn't tell him where's out. He can't track down Chloe, and he's upset they can't find Chloe. He punches his chest down, but Clark does. Punches the cabinet, breaks it, because he's upset. Chloe realizing that, Davis is the serial killer, they go on the run, they just go off the grid. Overall, Beast was a good episode in my opinion. We found out they're like, him and Clark are like Kryptonian brothers. It's just that he was created by Kryptonians and sent, Clark, put it this way, Clark was their savior, the savior of Earth, while the ultimate destroyer was Davis. So, overall, good episode in my opinion. Alright. And another favorite of mine is called Injustice. When Tess gets together the team of Parasite, Neutron, and Livewire, basically she wants them to track Doomsday and kill him. They do try to track him down, but Neutron is killed by Doomsday until you find out that one of them is this woman named Eva who impersonates Chloe. She talks to to Plastique and Parasite about what they're going to do. Parasite takes Livewire's powers. Basically, what Parasite can do, they try to fight against Clark. They decide that Tess tells them that Tess betrayed them the whole time, thinking Tess cared for them, but they realize Tess does not give nothing two craps about them. They decide to kill her. So Parasite comes up behind Clark, grabs him, and takes Clark's powers. He's like, wow, thanks for the power, man, and uses super speed and strength to get away. And Clark plans to get Black Kryptonite to separate the two versions, see if Davis can become a better person, if they can just separate the two of them, him and Doomsday. Tess eventually steals the Christmas phantom and she destroys it. She also hears a voice, which is, I think, the voice of General Zod talking to her through the orb, wanting to come out of the orb. When Oliver eventually confesses to Clark that he killed Lex, Oliver, is there still this crystal or something? He tries to steal from her, pretend like he wants to be in her bed. He's in her bed naked. He's like, well, come on, let's go. He's like, no, Romeo, put your pants back on. And eventually, when Plastique and Parasite show up, they hold her hostage and are about to kill Tess until Clark shows up. But Green Arrow since Parasite is a power, he uses kryptonite, we get him, and, Clark goes to Parasite and he's like, give me my powers back, and he touches Clark, gives him his abilities back. And they, meanwhile, end up in Plastique and Parasite end up in jail. But when Oliver tells Clark about this, Clark's like, you killed Lex, you crossed the line, Oliver. Doesn't know if you really trust him anymore. But overall, Injustice was a good episode, in my opinion. Doomsday and Davis and Chloe are still on the run. It's still off the grid. Another favorite episode of mine is called Doomsday, which is the final episode of this season. Rock is a character who turns from the 31st century. He's part of the Legion group from the 31st century. Returns to tell Clark that Doomsday will kill him, and eventually that he gives him his Legion ring to transport Doomsday to the future, but that he'll probably either have to kill Doomsday or get rid of him, because Doomsday will eventually kill him and it'll destroy the future. Yeah. Clark basically comes up with a plan to go find Davis and Chloe, but he gets the help of Bart, Paul's what they call him, Flash, and Black Canary to help him. And then he tells the team that what Oliver did is that, Oliver, you're not one of us anymore. You killed Lex Luthor. You're not one of us anymore. And they tell him all the team. And sadly, you're going to go take Davis down. And they decide to go take Davis down, but Oliver shows up with Green Arrow and shoots an arrow in Clark, but it's actually green kryptonite. Kryptonite's like, sorry Clark, but you won't do what is necessary, so we're going to do it for you. So before they decide to kill Davis eventually turns into Doomsday and nearly comes close to killing them, but Clark eventually shows up on time thanks to help from Jimmy. He's like, when he sees Blue Girl's like, Jimmy, he's like, no Clark, I'm not buying it. He's like, you're right Jimmy, I'm sorry to you, Blue Girl, my friend, Blue Girl, on protection. But now Jimmy, that you know that it's me, appreciate your help. And then he just shoots away, and Jimmy like feels it, like when she starts to speed away, he's like, man, that is cool. But when they're battling Doomsday who nearly kills them all, Clark is able to use the black kryptonite. It does separate them. Doomsday goes on a rampage. What I was disappointed though was Clark and Doomsday don't really have a big fight. It's just Doomsday tries to kill a little girl, Clark is able to give him away. Doomsday like grabs him, punches Clark a couple times, punches him away. Just Clark's away, just punches him away. Shows him across town, and Doomsday shows up, and Clark's terrified, and Clark just grabs him and takes him to the earth, and then you don't see Doomsday, so I guess he took Doomsday to the earth, to space, and killed him, I guess, or threw him in space, basically. And I was disappointed by really writers. I wanted to see, it was like, you didn't get to see a fight with Zod or Bizarro, but, Zod and Bizarro was the same thing. Zod and Bizarro, you see him fight much with them either. I was disappointed with that. But Doomsday, I was really disappointed with this because I wanted to see him fight Doomsday a little more. But of course it doesn't happen. I was disappointed with that. Is that better? A little better. Sorry. A little light. But, yeah, I was disappointed. I wanted to see him fight Doomsday a bit more. But overall, it was just, and, Davis is just passed out. Clark is able to eventually defeat Doomsday, but Chloe still tells Jimmy she still loves him, that she only did what she did because she was trying to help Clark. Just to protect Clark. And he's like, she loves him. I only went with Davis, so I still love you, Jimmy. And he basically gives her a watchtower, this whole big building that is Watchtower. Tells her, this is yours. And Davis hears this, and Davis wakes up, and he impels Jimmy. He kills Jimmy. Oh no, right, he kills Jimmy. He's like, so the whole time you were not really in love with me? And Davis, he's about to kill Chloe until Jimmy lets out the breast, I think we're fine, it's not that dark. Okay, that's not that going, I'm sorry. But Davis ends up impelling, Jimmy runs up to Davis, knocks him out, knocks on him, and is able to impel him basically and kills Davis. and Clark feeling guilty about what happened to Jimmy after Jimmy has a funeral. Chloe giving, Jimmy's little brother his camera, saying, maybe one day you'll follow in his footsteps. And Chloe says, come watchtower, and Clark decides that part of his human emotion that it's his fault what he's done, and he's going to embrace more of his destiny, knowing that Clark Kent is dead. I'm not Clark Kent no more, and just walks away and just kind of I guess you can say, goes off the grid himself for a while. Forgot to mention this episode, Lois and Tess have a fight. Tess thinks that, I think, Lois might have stole something or whatever. They have a bit of a fight. Lois ends up grabbing the Legion ring, and it takes her to the future. And Tess, by accident, by the orb, you see Razad being released at the end. So, overall, good season finale for Smallville Season 8. Alright, now my okay episodes. Yes, I'm almost done, guys. Yeah. Alright, my okay episodes. First one is an episode called Instinct. This is where Tess and Dr. Edward Crow, who's been working with us for a while, who Lana blackmailed, by the way, that they activate the crystal and it brings Maxima. She's a queen from another planet who was looking for a mate, but someone who can... She kisses a man, she kisses a few men, but her kiss is deadly. And basically, mating out with men, yes, they get heated up. She even kisses Jimmy, until eventually, she does find Clark, and they do make out with Clark and Hannah her kiss, until Lois eventually walks in, and she can tell Lois is jealous that Clark, somewhat, her and Clark just have feelings for each other. She even tells, she tries to kill Lois, like, because you have feelings, you're a threat. I want my man, and you're not going to get my way. It's like, well, there's nothing between me, because even on a daily basis, we don't even get along. It's like, well, maybe you just don't know it yet. But Clark has ever sent Maxima back over there. I mean, overall, Instinct, it was just an okay episode. Man, Maxima is sexy looking. As you played her, she was alright. She was sexy looking, I ain't complaining. But overall, I just like these other episodes are better that I mentioned. I just thought they were better, in my opinion. And Jimmy is upset in the episode because he, finds this old letter that Clark, that she wrote to Clark when Clark was like passed out. I think it was like a season 2 episode where he said Lana, and this makes Jimmy think that she's still in love with Clark. But eventually they're able to get over that. But overall, good episode in my opinion. I mean, alright episode in my opinion. Legion was okay, but Legion was nice to me. Legion was alright. This is where you have the 31st century characters from the future come in. Clark is attacked by the Persuader, who looks like Gladiator, by the way. Try to attack Clark, but 31st century characters called Legion show up to save him. They're called Emla, Garth, and Rock. Basically, they told Clark today that he's supposed to destroy Brainiac. They all tell him about the future, that they know he's Superman, that he's changed the lives of many people, but they can't tell him too much over it. Brainiac takes over the body and tells Davis that you're Doomsday. You've always, you have no free will. You were created on Krypton. He's like, I'm not going to kill anybody. He's like, you have no free will. I was like, you mentioned what you're supposed to become, Davis. Doomsday. Until now, locked Doomsday up, locked Davis up just in the afterwall, kind of kill him for a bit. Or maybe fall asleep during this episode, kids. I fell asleep talking about Lana, a little bit in her future. I just did not care for these actors that were playing these characters. Legion, I just didn't really find that interesting. Honestly, I might as well say it's not one of my favorite episodes of Smallville, probably one of my least favorites. I mean, this episode was okay, it was just meh. But they're eventually able to Brainiac, but I'm getting, and then Brady tries to take over again. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of getting a little tired of Brainiac a little bit. I'm like, yeah, season 5 was good enough, but season 6 and 7, 8, you have them again. I'm like, getting a little tired of Brainiac. That's just me. Trying to take over the city again. I'm like, okay. We've been Brainiac, let's just move on to somebody else. But anyway, overall, Legion was okay. And then another favorite episode of mine is called it's called Hex. This is where you see a character named Satana, who she wants her to bring her father back from the dead. She gives Chloe a wish, and Chloe wishes to be at Lois, so she wakes up next day as Lois. As Lois. Lois is on an assignment where she's pretending to be Lois. She tries to get Clark to help her out, tries to tell him that she's Chloe. Clark believes her. They go stand to Clark where she's sleeping normal. Clark forgets who he is, until Chloe helps him out to find out more who he is. She's able to convince Clark that who he is. Clark super jumps again up to the potato planet. This episode, the actress I thought was decent. She was definitely beautiful, and she gets Oliver to help her steal this book. When Oliver is about to burn the book, she hangs Oliver up. She apologizes for it and says, here's my phone number. If you need me, just call me. But overall, it was just okay. I get what the episode was saying, be careful what you wish for, because, hey, you are who you are. What I loved though about this episode was the ending, where Chloe's like, you know what, I'm just Chloe Sullivan, I'm proud to be, and she becomes like the Watchtower, basically, for all the superheroes. This is Watchtower on. And I thought that was cool. She comes for the Watchtower for Green Arrow, Black Canary, Flash, Impulsive, Aquaman, and Cyborg, which I thought was cool. Then another okay episode was called Stiletto, where Lois pretends to be a superhero. She gets Jimmy to help out, who's working for Bruno Mayhem. I know he was in the anime series, but I guess he's like an enemy of Superman. She pretends to be Stiletto to start up these, to just draw him out, but causes more danger, where Clark ends up having to save her. Clark, walks in there with a green kryptonite. They beat up Clark a bit. Clark takes a bullet for Lois, and Lois is like, come on, we gotta get him out of here. Until, they get him out of there and he's eventually safe. And this is where Clark calls her as the Red Blue Blur. The Red Blue Blur. He disguises his voice, but he calls Lois, tell him, thanks Lois, I appreciate what you did for me, but you don't need to put yourself in danger for me. Lois is like, well, if you need a friend to talk to, I'm always here for you. I'm just one phone call away. Overall, it was just okay. I mean, it was cool to see Lois be super, and every time, like I said, beautiful. Seeing her dressed up as super, she looked really sexy, so I can't complain. I just thought it was okay, though. I just prefer Lois Lane as the reporter. That's just me. Not saying, Lois does kick some ass, but she also is able to kick ass, being an army brat. But overall, it was just an okay episode, in my opinion. Alright. Well, that was my favorite okay episode of season 8 of Smallville. Again, this season of Smallville, season 8, was really good in my opinion. I enjoyed this season very much. If you love Smallville, I definitely recommend getting this season. I loved it. I loved how they brought Doomsday in. Cast was good. CGI effects weren't so bad. It was a really good season. I don't get why people hated it. That's just me, though. I do think they changed a bit more, but I like seeing Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet now and becoming more of the hero he's supposed to be, and seeing him, he's not Superman yet, but he's just getting there, so it's just one more step closer this season is to him embracing his destiny, him becoming more of a hero. And seeing Doomsday in there, that was cool. I just wish there was a bigger fight between Clark and Doomsday, and I was disappointed with that. It was just short-lived. And, the actress who plays Tess, I think she does a really good job. There's things where you can't trust her, but she becomes more of a better person toward the end of the show. But overall, I do miss Michael Rosenbaum in them, but I like the cast here. I think this season was good. Good season. I definitely put it as one of the best seasons. I'll put it up there as one of the best seasons. So one of my favorite seasons of Smallville. My favorite seasons, the best seasons of the show, in my opinion, my favorites would be Season 1, Season 2, Season 5, Season 6, and of course this Season 8. My least favorite season is still Smallville Season 7. And Season 3 behind are good, but I just think they're a little weak, in my opinion. But overall, Season 8 really good in my opinion. I think the writers definitely do a good job here of, and Clark and Lois seeing the romantic feeling show up finally. And no, she was never a second choice for Clark. She was always the right choice for him. Because they're meant to be together, whether people say they're not. I mean, hey, like I said, Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois. Eventually, that they're meant to be together. So, but overall, really good season in my opinion. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars and a thumbs up. Really good season in my opinion, very interesting. Alright, guys. So, let me know in the comments down below, guys. What do you think of Smallville Season 8? What are your favorite episodes of Season 8? Let me know in the comments of Smallville Season 8. What are your favorite episodes of Smallville Season 8? Alright, guys. Next up. Now, I won't be talking about more Smallville this year. Yeah, I will not be talking any more about Smallville this year. Since we're getting close to Christmas and New Year's, I'm going to start back up in Smallville in January. So, guys, next will be, of course, Smallville, the 9th season. Yes, this will be the next season for Smallville. This will be in January. And also, Smallville Season 10. This is coming up as well. So, yeah. So I will be finishing up Smallville with Season 9 and 10. Yeah. I'll be doing these in January. So, in January, these two will be coming up. There are just 2 more seasons. But, ultimately, Season 9 will be next. Sorry, wrong season. Season 9 of Smallville, this will be next. So definitely look forward to that. Yeah. And anyway, guys, tell me in the comments down below, what are your favorite episodes of Smallville Season 8? Tell me in the comments down below. And guys, I hope you look forward to my thoughts. The favorite episodes coming in January. Next one will be Smallville Season 9. So, I look forward to that, guys. Yeah, I wish I can finish up, but I will start back in January. It's just because of the holiday right now and stuff, and work. I just think it's best to finish up in January. So, guys, hope you look forward to my thoughts of Smallville Season 9. And, guys, I do have some more videos planned. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And what are your favorite episodes of Smallville Season 8? So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Bye.